Value for good manufacturing practice, medicinal product for human and veterinary use. Chapter 4, Documentation. Principle: good manufacturing constitutes an essential part of the quality assurance system and is key to operating in compliance with GMP requirements. Required GMP documentation by type. A specification describes in detail the requirements with which the products or materials used or obtained during manufacture have to conform. They serve as a basis for quality evaluation. Manufacturing formula, processing, packaging, and testing instructions provide detail on the starting materials, equipment, and computerized systems, if any, to be used and specify all processing, packaging, sampling, and testing instructions. In process controls and process analytical technologies to be employed should be specified where relevant together with acceptance criteria. Procedures, otherwise known as Standard Operating Procedure or SOPs, give directions for performing certain operations. Protocols give instructions for performing and recording certain discrete operations. Technical agreements are agreed between contract givers and acceptors for outsourced activities. Report type. Records provide evidence of various actions taken to demonstrate compliance with instructions, e.g., activities, events, investigations, and in the case of manufacturers' batches, a history of each batch of product, including its distribution. Records include the raw data which is used to generate other records. For electronic records, a regulated user should define which data are to be used as raw data. At least all data on which quality decisions are based should be defined as raw data. Certificates of analysis provide a summary of testing results on samples of products or materials, together with the evaluation for compliance to a state's specification. Reports document the conduct of a particular exercise, project, or investigations, together with results, conclusion, and recommendation. Generation and control of documentation. All types of documents should be defined and adhered to. The requirements apply equally to all forms of document media type. Complex systems need to be understood, well documented, validated, and adequate controls should be in place. Documents should be designed, prepared, reviewed, and distributed with care. Documents containing instructions should be approved, signed, and dated by appropriate and authorized persons. Documents should have unambiguous content and be uniquely identifiable. The effective date should be defined. Documents containing instructions should be laid out in an orderly fashion and be easy to check. The style and language of documents should fit with their intended use. The standard operating procedure, work instructions, and methods should be written in an imperative, mandatory style. Documents within the quality management system should be regularly reviewed and kept up to date. Documents should not be handwritten, although where documents require the entry of data, sufficient space should be provided for such entries. Good documentation practices. Handwritten entries should be made in clear, legible, indelible way. Records should be made or completed at the time each action is taken and in such a way that all significant activity concerning the manufacture of medicinal products are traceable. Any alteration made to the entry on a document should be signed and dated. The alteration should permit the reading of the original information. Where appropriate, the reason for the alteration should be recorded. Retention of documents. It should be clearly defined which record is related to each manufacturing activity and where this record is located. Secure controls must be in place to ensure the integrity of the record throughout the retention period and validated where appropriate. Specific requirements apply to batch documentation, which must be kept for 1 year after expiry of the batch to which it relates, or at least 5 years after the certification of the batch by the qualified person, whichever is the longer. For investigational medicinal products, the batch documentation must be kept for at least 5 years after the completion or formal discontinuation of the last clinical trial in which the batch was used. Other requirements for retention of documentation may be described in legislation in relation to specific types of product, e.g. advanced therapy medicinal products, and specify that longer retention periods be applied to certain documents. Required documents. The quality management system should describe all documents required to ensure product quality and patient safety, such as specification, manufacturing formula and processing instruction, packaging instruction, batch processing record, batch packaging record, procedure and records. Other written release and rejection procedure should be available for materials and products, and in particular for the certification for sale of the finished product by the qualified persons. All records should be available to the qualified person. A system should be in place to indicate a special observation and any changes to critical data. Records should be maintained for the distribution of each batch of a product in order to facilitate recall of any batch. If necessary, there should be written policies, procedure, protocol reports, and the associated records of action taken or conclusion reached where appropriate. For the following examples, validation and qualification of process, equipment and systems, equipment assembly and calibration, technology transfer, maintenance, cleaning and sanitation, personnel matters including signature list, training in GMP and technical matters, clothing and hygiene and verification of effectiveness of training, environmental monitoring, pest control, complaint, recall, returns, change control, investigation into deviation and non-conformances, internal quality, GMP compliance audit, summaries of records where appropriate, e.g. product quality review, supplier audit. Clear operating procedure should be available for major items of manufacturing and test equipment. Logbook should be kept for major or critical analytical testing, production equipment, and areas where product has been processed. They should be used to record in chronological order as appropriate. Any use of the area, equipment, method, calibration, maintenance, cleaning, or repair operation, including the date and identity of people who carried these operations out. An inventory of documents within the quality management system should be maintained. Thanks for your attention.